And welcome back to a new video, everybody. And first, before we get started, just want to send prayers out to everybody who's dealing with this disaster in LA. And I want to thank all of you who have messaged me asking if we're okay, since we are in Southern California. And oftentimes the fires are definitely here in Orange County, and I'm right up against the hill. So we've been on alert and slightly concerned and worried this last week. And so far, so good. Orange County has not been affected. My biggest concern is if it does get affected, the resources don't exist to be able to come back here while they're in the midst of fighting that fight, because those people certainly need every bit of resources they can get to get through this, because at this point, we're looking at thousands of homes have been burned. People have lost their lives. It is horrible, and it's devastating to watch. I've had videos sent to me because we have offices out there. With my company, we lost one of our offices, was burnt completely to the ground, and in Pacific Palisades, and it leaves you speechless when you see this stuff. And for those of you who've been watching my channel for a while, my good friend, best friend in the world, Enrique, brother from another mother, his house in Altadena was spared. Now, what's amazing is he's going viral on TikTok with the Australia 7 News after he talked to a police officer and letting him go up and see if his home is still there after they told him there's no way it is, because the entire 2 blocks have been decimated, completely decimated. He hiked up and got to his house, and out of all the homes, every home in that neighborhood was gone. His home was still standing. I mean, it's like a religious freaking miracle. I mean, he's beside himself. And I'll play that clip of Enrique because it's, I think, passing 15 or maybe even 20 million views by now on the news station's site. And it's just heartbreaking because he's got survivor's guilt. At the same time, had he lost this house with, impossible to get fire insurance, and his has lapsed, and it would have been a complete financial utter disaster, life-changing disaster, and something that just, you could just hear the gratefulness in his voice. Let's go ahead and play that clip.
I shouldn't be crying because my entire block is burnt down, but God saved my house. Why are all of my neighbors, why are they in the middle of 2 burnt down blocks? There's one house standing, and that's mine.
So if that doesn't choke you up, nothing will. I sat on the phone with him yesterday for 40 minutes, and I got to tell you, it's amazing. I mean, his house, his detached garage wasn't even affected. I mean, the house wasn't even affected. I mean, everything around it, even lumber he had in his backyard, was completely burnt 4 or 5 feet away from his house. But the house was untouched amidst just complete and total utter destruction. It's something I can't possibly begin to explain outside of divine intervention. But then it makes you ask the question, why didn't those other people deserve it as well? So it's just a really hard thing to comprehend or understand. And my heart goes out to everybody going through that. And we went through it back in 2008, where I live, and everybody was getting evacuated, and it was rough, and lost a lot of houses in the city. But there's so many other things taking place that are just going to compound the problem. I mean, you can't close an escrow. People buying houses, even in unaffected areas in LA, the mortgage companies don't want to close them without knowing that the house is still there and being assured that it's not going to ultimately end up in a fire this week while they're still fighting this stuff. I mean, everybody, whether they're in an affected area or outside of an affected area, ends up getting affected. And it's just sad, horrible, devastating, and just impossibly hard to watch without getting tearful. So that's the update there. We're okay. We're getting through it, and knock on wood, we'll continue to get through it. But today's video, I had to just lighten the air a little bit and make y'all laugh. And only because, yes, I do read my comments. Now, so many of my YouTuber friends have said, don't read the comments, because while you'll still have, hundreds of really kind, nice people in there, there's always the dumbest, ridiculous idiot in the world that has to get in there and say negative things, and your brain will go to that. And I try never to let that happen. As somebody who believes in motivational, inspirational thought, I have to get away from it, because it just makes me want to jump through the screen and pound somebody into the ground because they're so stupid sometimes. But nonetheless, they do provide for some entertainment. And that entertainment lately has been people who have been commenting, beating me up and giving me crap for being so negative about the new Daytona EV. Some even asking, why do I even talk about it, that they're not interested in it? Well, listen, it's news. And here's why it's news. Because it is watching an automotive disaster take place right before our eyes. We're watching something that is downright going to be historical, that will be talked about for decades to come, how not to make that mistake if you're an automotive company or manufacturer. Dodge and Stellantis have fumbled this thing so badly and then not listened to their customers so pervasively that they end up in this position. And I hate to say it, but they actually practically just deserve it. And if you go watch Uncle Tony's Garage, Uncle Tony said, well, he mentioned to me, thank you, Uncle Tony, that I was careful not to act like I was gloating. He was definitely gloating. And I had to comment and say, okay, maybe I'm gloating a little bit, only because we've all been screaming from the mountaintops these things are a freaking joke for so long, and that nobody's going to want an electric fake muscle car with fake exhaust that doesn't have the performance to keep up with other new modern non-muscle car named electric vehicles. So it's offensive, and giving it the RT and the Scat Pack name made it even doubly or quadruply offensive, because you're taking what should be a Hemi moniker and you're sticking it to a battery operated toy that's 5,800 pounds that frankly right now is bricking as it's getting delivered to dealerships. And that's a whole news story. And that's happening out there. It's now made mainstream news and hitting mainstream articles that these things are bricking after a few miles. So pretty insane. But what I did want to share with you is the dealers now are starting to advertise. They're starting to market these cars to people in hopes that there will be people lined up. And if, by the way, if you go digging, it looks like right now the reports are that maybe like 75 of these things have been ordered. I could be completely wrong. But when I'm looking around on the internet, it's like, no, they're not getting ordered like crazy. There's like 75 people or something nationwide that put orders in for these things. So you want to talk about a flop when they need to sell like 40, 50,000 of these things for it to make any sense. And they got 75 ordered and they're bricking already with people not able to pick them up. So it's insane. I don't think we've seen any get delivered to any YouTubers yet. And even CJN32's had his, according to him, in my comment section, brick upon arrival at the dealership, which is just insane when you think about it. But I follow a lot of the forums, and I haven't been thrown out of them yet. I've been allowed to continue despite what I say, and I'm able to watch them complain about my videos. But in this one, I believe car salesman Tony put up this ad on one of the groups. And let me switch my screen over here. This should be entertaining. So he put up this ad for a 2024 Dodge Daytona RT. And here's what it says. And by the way, when you do an ad on Facebook Marketplace or Facebook at all, it's got to have 300 miles, because they don't want dealers with new cars flooding the internet. But the dealers, in the normal fashion, rules don't matter. They're just going to lie. And in this situation, they will lie and say that this car that has never been sold to anybody else has just arrived at the dealership, has 300 miles on it, so that they can circumvent Facebook's advertising guidelines and market this car. But when I show you the responses, now here's the deal. If the responses were 50-50 good, 50% bad, that would be one thing. If it was 70-30, it'd be another thing. But when we're talking about 99% of the comments are downright hilarious in response to this thing, it makes me wonder if Stellantis and Dodge ever read anything. If you go watch any of the social media that Dodge has done on Instagram, just Instagram alone, about this thing, the Scat Pack and the EV Daytonas, you'll see that every single one has been getting roasted from the inception of them rolling out the even concept of this car. Yet they didn't listen, and they're still not listening, it seems like. But here is something hilarious to see, that now that it landed, And if anybody's out there thinking, I'm going to go buy one and I'm going to pay a dealer markup to get one, hopefully this will stop you. Because trust me when I tell you, there will be plenty there if they ever figure out how to get these things running. So let's go ahead and look at the comments. And I'm just going to go through real quick these things. They're hilarious. I'm not financing that POS. Hot garbage. Send it back. Nobody wants that crap. I wonder why Stellantis is in so much trouble. RT model of an ugly electric car, 75,000 LOL. If Dodge ever slaps a V8 in this, I'd be interested. Weakest Dodge ever made. Saying the first electric Charger in Georgia is definitely not a flex, not a Charger. Then this guy, yeah, it is. It identifies as a Charger. 75K, what's going on? You get a real Hellcat with decent miles for 75,000. You can get a Hellcat brand new for less with no miles, which actually is true. It won't be a wide body, but you actually can. This guy says, you'll be interested in a 5,800 pound coupe without an engine in it. I'll wait until they put an engine in it. 8,000 pound coupe. The comments are just as I expected. I can just imagine Dodge dealers reading this post comments. $75,000 for a car that can't even do burnouts. About this guy. I did some Stellantis training on these. I don't think this model has it, but they have a donut mode on one of them. Clown image. All right. Electric car donuts are one of the saddest things one could ever experience. Ugliest car ever. Can't wait for the sales to flop on this garbage. And I'm telling you, folks, it just keeps going on and on. The memes are hilarious. Thieves don't even want it. Can I put gas in it? Boo boo tomato. There's a charge it. Send it back. We like loud pipes, not electric BS. And it just goes on and on. I'll let you all read them. I'll scroll through them. It's hilarious. Lots of foul language. Be prepared to be keeping it for a while. Oh, junk. I don't want that turd. 75,000 for that. A Model 3 Performance, much faster and cheaper. Nice. So charge to go. Oh, and you can't keep it in a garage for fear of fire. By the way, I'll just mention, folks, right now with the fires, if you have an EV and it's a low charge and you've got to evacuate, Houston, you have a problem. If you have, because you have not had electricity probably for days, and if you now suddenly have to evacuate, you've got no way to get that car. You can push it down the hill and start rolling. I don't understand how Stellantis thought they could abruptly stop making V8 sedans and then the transition right to EVs customer base. I can't find a good comment. Folks, let me know if you see one in here. I mean, it's just crazy. Check these things out. And it goes on and on. I think all in all, I can't find. I mean, it's probably 19 pages before I just finally gave up. Nothing good. This will be at the dealership more than my Grand Wagon. LMAO. $7.50 final offer. We got Borat there. I mean, folks, it's not like there's just one or two. It's every single comment as the dealers are putting these up for sale out on websites. If you could comment on them, it's just full on roasting. I don't think there's ever been a more roasted car in the history of our country. A car that has been so just hated by the general public. Like Uncle Tony's Garage, he said the Yugo wasn't even hated this much because at least the thing left the dealership. Like when it got delivered, at least it made it out of the dealership. Maybe it had to come back pretty soon, but at least it made it out. These things aren't even making it out of the dealership. So I just thought I'd share with you, just as they're hitting the market, this is how it's going. It's not going to go well. And for those of you that don't want to hear videos on this thing, I'm sorry. This is just too entertaining not to share. And more developments continue. And, with me just reiterating that I don't want to be the gloating guy. This is all these people. It's not just me. I'm not sitting here all alone. All these, I didn't put words in these people's mouths. 99% of these people have never even seen my channel. So I'm not single-handedly taking down Dodge and taking down this Daytona for those of you that feel like me and TK and Butter and others are. No, I'm just sharing with you what's happening out there. Nobody wants this thing. So Dodge, if you're watching, just cancel it. Cancel it. Put them all back in the crusher. Recycle the metal and bring back anything with a Hemi in it. Hell, bring back the 6-cylinder Pentastars. Bring out the twin turbo i6s. But get something out sooner than later because these are going to be taking up space on lots. not selling, especially at the ridiculous prices. So with that, everybody, stay safe out there. If you're in LA, my heart goes out to you. Prayers for you and your families, and hang in there. We will get through this. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.